Thank you very much for joining us. This is Niger Delta Today. My name is Xavier Robert. Another day to look at activities and happenings within the Niger Delta region. Today, an important discussion shaping not just regional but national attention grabs our focus. The conviction of a prominent Unical law professor on sexual harassment charges, widely regarded as a landmark ruling that is also already raising questions about institutional accountability, protection of students, and the legal responsibilities of academic leaders. All around you, you must have heard one or two persons speak up, either boldly or in hushed tones, about the issue of harassment in public schools. How deep has the scourge eaten into the fabric of society? What are their enablers? Is it possible to wrestle it to a standstill till it festers and runs? We'll dig into the nitty-gritties today on the program. But first, let's bring you a story of interest where the Delta State government on Tuesday commissioned the Community Resettlement Camp, CRC, built by the Ughelli South Local Government Council in Okuama Community, Delta State. Now, the community was destroyed in March 2024 following the ambush and killing of about 17 Nigerian army personnel. Governor Boribori said that for the displaced indigents, the camp, a cluster of new housing units and supporting infrastructure, symbolizes the end of a long period of uncertainty and the beginning of recovery. Well, represented by his deputy, Sir Mande Onyeme, he said the exercise was not only to commission buildings, but to recommit to a future of peace, dignity, and shared prosperity, while not forgetting the difficult experiences that led to the displacement of families in the community. The chairman of Ughelli South Local Government Area, Honorable Lucky Averome, disclosed at the occasion that the CRC was built by the local government council, and he thanked Governor Borivori for providing a primary school, a secondary school, and primary health center for the Okuama people. Okuama community, in an address signed by Mr. Okrika Emmanuel, and Comrade Akemo Victor were said to have thanked Governor Borivori for his efforts. Now, the project comprises 40 room spaces, 2 blocks of buildings, including toilets and bathrooms, a solar-powered water reticulation system, and a paved roofed walkway connecting all the structures. Well, we want to know how far this is going to be helpful to the Okuama people. Well, we are joined on the program for this Story of Interest segment, a social scientist, executive director, Value, Rebirth, and Empowerment Initiative, VREI, Ambassador Pastor Edewor Egedegbe. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir. Well, Okuama and the incidents in that community really stirred emotions last year. And a lot of questions around what has been happening ever since then. We hear of arrests of community leaders. We hear of some persons still being detained. We hear of persons still struggling with resettlement. But currently, can you bring us an insight to what is happening on the ground in Okuama currently?
Okay, thank you once again for having me. It is my pleasure to speak on this very turning issue in the life of people of Okuama, of Ewu Kingdom. By privilege, I'm the Secretary General of Ewu Kingdom, and Okuama is a subset of Ewu Kingdom. So to that extent, I appreciate you for picking interest to also highlight the happenings in the Okuama community. Rightly as it is, there's some level of succor that was experienced yesterday when the governor, through the deputy governor, came to commission the hall that was built. Yes, sometime May last year, I led a team of leaders from the communities to see the governor, and upon our request that Okuama being sacked, unexpectedly by the military, by virtue of the very dastard incident that took place, is very, very, something that is unacceptable. But we consider that, yes, as a governor of the state, something has to be done. And in his wisdom, he promised that, yes, no community can sack another community. That is protecting every citizen. That is the constitutional mandate. That he was going to build a primary school, a secondary school, and of course, a primary and a health center. Then he extended it by adding a secondary school. then of course that camp that was commissioned yesterday. So true to it, within the 1 year plus, those projects are completed. I'm aware that all of the projects are completed, but yesterday, the chairman of the council that handled the hall, made sure his own was commissioned and the deputy governor represented the governor. So that was a sharing news for the people of Okuama. However, just those buildings standing alone, there is still no shelter yet other than the camp, that hall that was built. So if you visit Okuama, you see that there are thatch houses. That's where those who have gone home since the aftermath of the army occupation of the community are living in. So we appreciate the governor for what he has done, but we are quickly asking that more has to be done. Now, for those schools, we need, a housing unit for teachers to live in to be able to teach children. Then, of course, for the health center, we need a shelter for all, health management, team, nurses, and of course, doctors to come in and be able to dispense, medication to those that will use that facility. Then, of course, secondary school, the same thing. So this is a quick, response that should follow what has been done. Then, having said that, the life in Okuama is never as it should be, as we can speak. So, particularly the 6 indigenes that were arrested by the military, out of which 1 died in December last year. A corpse is still with the military as we speak today. Then another one was at the verge of death, but in the military wisdom, they released that one to Senator Edewor, the senator represented the Delta Central, at the National Assembly. But as we speak, the other 4, 2 indigenes of Okuama, then 1 other woman that was also picked alongside, and the tenant of the deceased Okuama President General, who is also not from Okuama, they are still in the army detention today. The very unsavory aspect of this detention is the fact that nobody have had access to these persons. Incarceration since August 18 and 19, where they were hounded by the military. Of course, Okuama people through the Urhobo Progress Union have filed processes in court, led back to May last year, till date. But those people have not been brought to court. They've not been allowed to, lawyers and parents have not been allowed to see them. For crying out loud, we are in a constituted democracy. So we believe that if there is any establishment of, prima facie by a military who don't have the criminal right to investigate, that is for the police, but they are holding them. Let them bring them to court, let them, express their innocence or otherwise. But that's not happening. But we are using this opportunity, particularly to appeal to the military authority to please release these people and, of course, take them to court, let them have their day in court. If they are culpable, the court will so do. But if not, then they let them get their freedom. As we could feel, their health situation is seriously in jeopardy. As we speak today, we've not seen them. So we don't even know their state as it should be. Because we know Professor Atta Ekpepo has underlying ailment, Chidogo has underlying ailments, and they've been there for close to 15 months or more, as we can speak. So Okuama, yes, they received that commissioning yesterday with some level of relief that life is about coming back, but their leaders in captivity, that has not given them any sense of joy.
All right,
so we are appealing to the governor of the state, the senator, and everyone to appeal to Mr. President and the military to let those people have their day in court at once, or let them release them so that they can be united to their people.
All right, Pastor Egedegbe, I'd like you to give us some picturesque understanding of the extent of damage that occurred in Okuama community as a result of that incident last year. What is the extent of damage currently, and what work has been done? What is remaining to be done so far?
Okay, thank you. The extent of damage is humongous. Humongous in the sense that it's only the Anglican church building that was left standing at the time the army finished their invasion. That is to the extent. If you have visited Okuama before, Okuama is a big community that has 2 voting units. 2 voting units is in that community. It will be 4 voting units, as it were, in that community. So that tells you the community that have a primary school, a health center, and a secondary school. now was brought to Robos, leaving the only Anglican church standing. So that's what it is today, apart from these four structures that through the effort of the state government that has happened now. So you have 5 buildings in Okuama as it is today. Now, what is expected, like I mentioned earlier, a rebuilding of that community is a necessary, wake-up call. We desire that happens. But more importantly, as we speak today, it is the release of those, leaders of that community who their innocence is to be expressed by them in the constituted authority, but not confining them perpetually. One have died. We don't also want any other one to die. Let them express their innocence or otherwise in a constituted court in line with our laws. That's what we're appealing to.
All right, just before we let you go, Pastor, has there been engagements so far towards some sort of reconciliation? Has the state been able to engage the military? What discussions have been going on currently to see to it that these persons that you speak of are either released or charged to court?
Well, I may not be able to speak for the government because that has been the cry of the community leaders to the government to help us intervene. No matter what has happened, we condemn it. And of course, those who did that act, only God and themselves know. We don't know. And whoever is being suspected is deemed to be innocent until the court says otherwise. So we are appealing that, yes, government should do that. So, and I believe they may be doing their best, but their best, since it has not brought the people, it may not be good enough for the people that are affected and for their siblings, their relations. So we appeal to them to double their effort and say that those people are reunited to their family. And so we can find a better ground. And, the remote cause of what even transpired that led to all of that evasion, we're also appealing to government to look at it. The boundary issue and the fishing rights issues. Those are the underlying issues which people hardly talk about. So it's government that have power to orchestrate, a peace and reconciliatory processes that can heal all of it. As individuals and citizens, we are limited by, the space we can cover. But government has all of the instruments and instrumentality of power to get everybody online and so that peace can be in that place again.
Yes, it will be also important to understand the extent of this damage in Okuama community, especially when it connects to the issue of displacement and persons that need to be relocated. To what extent are those displaced persons vulnerable currently? And what situation are they in? What number, if you were to rate the number of persons that are currently not resettled, what would that be in terms of percentage?
No, the percentage is high. I may not be able to give the exact percentage, but Okuama has a population of over 3,000 inhabitants. So that's what it means. So that number of people are displaced as it is, right from March 15th, 2024 till date. So that's the number of residents in that place, estimated number. So now they don't have a shelter. Like I mentioned to you, there's what we call thatch houses at the local, in our local palace back home here. That's what they resorted for the few of them that have gone back to the community to get themselves resettled because they are agrarian and fishing communities. So now the dry season is coming. Fishing, which is their preoccupation, is time for it now. Then farming. Now the waters is receding, so they will need to go back to farm, to begin to, plant their cassava, potato, and of course cocoyam and the rest of it. But they don't have a shelter to live in, so they live in trenches. That's what it means as it is now. So the deprivation is high. It's high from all consideration.
Lastly, Pastor, what resettlement plans would you think is effective enough to ensure that these persons are effectively resettled in Okuama community?
Okay, for me, yes, they start by building that hall that has some more than 40 rooms. That's a good one. So can they have those more of such in the interim? Then later, there should be some level of low-cost housing estates that should come in. Now, assessment can be done. The indigenous of Okuama knows those who owns building in Okuama. Let there be some level of baseline from government to capture that clearly. That, how many people have which type of building at a time. Then government cannot sit back after collecting those data and they're able to do some level of appropriation of, okay, a low-cost housing that can address those ones. Then there are some maybe one-room apartments that can address, depending on what it was before. It may not be as roomy as it should be, but there should be some level of reconsideration to address those who owns property before, and those who do not have, maybe give them some level of this camp now, as it were, give them rooms allocation. So beyond this one hall that was built, more halls can be built in that order, then followed by some level of local housing, maybe 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, like that. And so that in 1, 2, 3 years, that place can be fully built. And not just government alone, spirited individuals can also support, donor agencies can also come in to see how Okuama can get its ass back again.
Thank you very much, social scientist, executive director, Value, Rebirth, and Empowerment Initiative, Pastor Edewor Egedegbe. Thank you for speaking to us on the program.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Thank you. Yes.